David McNeill, bosun mate, 3rd class. I graduated from high school in 1965 and went off to college. And after 12 months of higher education, the dean suggested I go someplace else and grow up for a while. That shooting pool, drinking beer, and chasing girls was not a life goal. So in 1966, I went and joined the Navy, thinking that I wanted to see the world and get all the excitement out of my life before I went back to college. So I joined the Navy, and first time I'd ever been yelled at in my life is when I entered boot camp in San Diego. Matter of fact, it was the first time I'd ever flown in an airplane. When I went into the induction center, was in San Antonio, and they flew us in an airplane to Dallas, Texas. It happens to be the day that the first national airline strike in American history happened. So they were piled up pretty significantly, to say the least, and in the old Dallas Love Field. They finally got us out the next morning, and on a big 707 Braniff jet, thinking, now this is going to be a good life. I like this. And life changed forever when we stepped off the plane and walked over to the drill instructor, okay, who changed our life forever. I was one of only a few that had actually been to college, much less graduated from college. And so the chief petty officer, who was the head of our company, made me the recruit chief petty officer. Well, I didn't know what a recruit chief petty officer was, but I slowly learned, and it was really nice to have that type of responsibilities over 60 other men who all hated me at the end of the day, but that was the nature of military service to begin with. My first ship that I was assigned to was the USS Henrico. So the orders on my first ship was the USS Henrico, which was APA 45, which they did not know where it was. So they flew me to Guam, and then they flew me to Japan, and then they decided we need to go back to Okinawa. So caught the ship in Buckner Bay in Okinawa, and went on board about 10 o'clock in the morning. I had gone to the Navy for excitement, not necessarily for a career or learning a trade. So I was put in deck force, and from about 10:30 that morning until 6 the next morning, we were taking a battalion of Marines to Subic Bay in the Philippines. To 6 in the morning, we loaded sea rats, which were rations, low dose, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm used to working hard, studying all night, so I'm sure they'll, go to our berthing compartment, take a shower, and go to bed. No, that didn't happen. We went up and ate breakfast, and we went right back to work, taking the 1,000 Marines to the Philippines. We stayed in the Philippines till about Christmas Eve, or maybe it was New Year's Day, and we had made our first trip south to South Vietnam, where we unloaded that same 1,000 Marines at Da Nang. We stayed in country patrolling, taking Marines, South Vietnam Marines and U.S. Marines up and down the coast and inserting them. Probably the only time they actually did using landing craft to land Marines in the Vietnam War. From that point on, I don't think they did that. The life on board the USS Henrico, being a junior man into a deck force full of tough men, I was an E2 at that time. The Vietnam War was ramping up pretty quick, and they had lots of billets. they had guys coming in from all walks of life. But the senior guys that had been there for a while, they were tough men. And you had to earn their respect. And what we did the majority of the time was load and unload cargo and marine equipment. When you take a battalion landing team from point A to point B, all of that goes into the hold of the ship. And it all has to be brought in one piece at a time, one pallet at a time. And guess what? It all gets taken out one piece at a time, one pallet at a time. There's quite an art to the way they load ships and the way they unload ships. Sort of imagine in Iwo Jima, the first things they had to unload to attack the beaches were the LCVPs and all of the support mortars, artillery pieces, and so that's the priorities of things. They go in, the first thing in is the last thing that comes out, and the last thing, or the first thing that goes in, going home is the last thing that comes out when they get stateside. After that, we went back to the States, and then I was assigned to the USS Estes, which was an AG